excluded. And frankly, I'm sorry. But after listening to all of us go through the hypotheticals, sometimes you can try and do too much with hypotheticals. And my first shot at looking at the hypotheticals, I still came away with just saying, I don't think they add that much. They're confusing. There was surplusage. And so I would recommend excluding them. So to the extent that today I could get some guidance on how do people feel about those hypotheticals, then I know whether my further editing and consideration of specific comments as to the bulk of it. So when we come back for hopefully a final pass on this next meeting, the decision has been made as to whether or not we include the hypotheticals. And if there are any specific additional comments that I failed to pick up from all of Ken's work, I'd like to know those now. But if I could just get that input today, I'm going to be satisfied to the point where I can take it back between now and the next meeting and come back with hopefully an agreement that we can consider for voting out for public comment. So I guess I need some guidance on how, if anybody has read it, has strong feelings about these hypotheticals, one way or the other, I'd like to get that input first.
Can you scroll down to the hypotheticals? Are they in here? Okay. Are they? Where are the hypotheticals?
Yeah. That's the problem. They're way down there. It's already too long.
Yeah, that's really far. It's really far.
I'm looking at the, okay.
Oh, there, factual scenarios and analysis of each, starting at the bottom of each 10. And I will say this, is I did no editing on any of the hypotheticals in paragraph Roman 4. I just didn't feel that it was worth the effort unless everybody thought that we really needed to illustrate the wisdom that's set forth in the first 10 pages with hypotheticals.
This is a lot.
Yeah. And
I mean,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, sorry. Well, I'm just trying to figure out a way to attack it that is at least puts together a framework for getting to the next meeting on it. Let's see. I mean, and we talked about this one last year, right? Because I'm looking at.
Apparently, the last time this came before the committee was maybe 4 or even 5 meetings ago. It was a little unclear.
Yeah. I mean, I have flat fee arrangements where I get the client's consent to deposit in my operating account. And I don't, but usually they're pretty straightforward and I've never had an issue. The
Yeah,
notion that
and
yeah.
I guess the other thing is that, and I'm not sure we have enough case authority under 1.15 on what needs to be refunded in the event that all the tasks are not completed. How do you calculate what amount needs to be refunded? So the bulk of the discussion in the first 10 pages kind of deals with those issues. And I don't know that these hypotheticals add to that, because we're not all that definitive as it is.
Yeah, I mean, can't we just provide, well, so the rule is that, yeah, I mean, the rule is that if you have a flat fee and you get the client's consent, I mean, irrespective of whether or not you get the client's consent to put in the operating account, or if it goes into the trust account, if the engagement is terminated halfway through, there's still a duty to refund, right?
Yeah, two separate issues. They're not, one doesn't affect the other, really.
Right. So the question is how do you calculate where it's not, where, the engagement agreement doesn't have like milestones, or there's no, there's no clear way of determining, what should be refunded, because, what work was done if they didn't, if there's not, obviously if there's no hourly.
Yeah, there
But
might. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I think yeah, and that if the first part of the opinion just sets forth how that rule is applied, do we need the hypotheticals? Because it's fairly straightforward. I mean, I don't know if it's fairly straightforward, but if you set out, I mean, how do you calculate it?
Well, there's a lot of ways you could do it. If there's milestones set forth in the agreement, then it's easy. What got completed is paid, and what isn't is refunded. However, if the tasks are articulated and there's a dollar amount, then you can do a reasonable fee analysis on
Right.
each task. The twist on that, of course, is what if you agreed to do 3 tasks for $10,000 and you did 2 out of the 3, but you could prove that the reasonable value with the first 2 was $11,000. What about the fact is you've agreed to include the 3rd item, but you didn't do it, so you're arguably in breach of the contract and have to refund something, but then the reasonable value under certain arguments is, well, I've already given you reasonable value. I don't owe you anything. So
yeah,
we were satisfied with that. But we covered all that sort of in the bulk of the opinion, is that, you've got to apply some kind of rule of reason to the whole thing. And we couldn't find a bright line. And I think Ken was very keen on having these scenarios or illustrations of how you might do that, but none of them really come to a conclusion of saying, here's exactly how you do it. Get your slide rule and let's go.
right.
I agree, and I don't think they're helpful really for that reason. They just give a fact scenario and then kind of reiterate what's discussed above, right?
I mean, can't you just, yeah. I mean, can't you just incorporate, summarize the scenarios and incorporate them into the discussion? So when you have like, the discussion of the rule, and then say, for example, if you had blah, 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 and describe the scenario, one of the scenarios below in like 2 or 3 sentences, and then move on. Like, I don't know why we need to have it broken out that way. But also, Well, so that's my point there. I mean, I just think it needs to be tightened up, and you're right, we probably don't need scenarios at the bottom of the
So
opinion.
would I be correct in assuming that the preference would be for me to take from the scenarios anything that is not set forth in the body and then lose the rest of the scenarios? And
Well, yeah.
I
is that
think, yes, I think that I agree with that.
okay? And then is there anything of a kind of a general nature as opposed to a missing comma that anybody has spotted that didn't seem to be addressed in the bulk of it that somebody has spotted needs further work?
No, but I haven't read it very closely since the last time. I mean, I guess my problem with it is that, you know, we're not saying that you have to have milestones in your engagement agreement in order for you to have a flat fee, right? But
Yeah.
without milestones, it's very difficult to calculate what would be what would need to be refunded, and ultimately it would be up to, you know, fee arbitration, right? I mean, it would be up to I mean, so, you know, so I mean, it all comes back to, is it, you know, what are the, I mean, I think it comes back to best practices. You know, what's a well-written engagement agreement to preclude disputes over unearned fees and refunds? You know, I don't know if you can set forth an ethics opinion on how to calculate that refund,
No,
because it's
and I
really,
think, and we don't typically do best practices, but I think you can impliedly doing it by saying something like, without milestones in there, it can
right.
prove to be difficult, where you're not saying you should have milestones, but kind of flagging the issue on the sly.
Right. I mean, because, you know, I just don't know if I don't know. Maybe I'm, so, I mean, Joel, I mean, is there an ethics of, is there an opinion to be had about, you know, when the engagement agreement is so vague that you can't figure out how to calculate the refund? Is there a rule? You know, there's no, like you said, there's no bright line rule then,
No,
right? Or bright.
yeah, that's because 1.15 really was articulated what previously was not generally followed, which is that if you don't complete all the tasks in a flat fee, you've got to make the refund.
Yeah.
And
And what does that mean?
yeah, so that's what we struggled with. And struggle is probably the right word. But, you know, then it sounds like I don't think any hypothetical is going to, or set of hypotheticals is going to answer all these questions. I think we can make progress by just setting out some general ethical principles about, you know, a reasonable effort to make this refund or calculate the refund where where you haven't completed all the tasks. Talk about 1.15 and the trust account issue and the written requirement, which is new, you know, since 2018. But and then not get into the detail of hypotheticals because I can't, just looking at them, I gave up because it was clear to me I was not going to be able to rework them to articulate answers.
Right. Like you can't draw, there's no conclusion. It's just kind of guidance on how to approach it, but it's not, you know,
It's not helpful. Yeah.
yeah. But I do think it is important to just make clear what 1.15 says, and that lawyers know that just because you have a flat fee doesn't mean that you get to keep all that money if you're terminated prematurely, and so and I think that's the most important thing. And then pointing out that if you don't have an engagement agreement that sets forth what happens specifically, if you're terminated prematurely, then it's going to be difficult to calculate that refund. I mean, I'm kind of thinking part of this might be good for the fee arbitration advisory, because isn't this something that, would ultimately lead to a dispute and then be the subject of fee arbitration? And then the
Yeah.
arbitrator would need this guidance as to how to calculate the refund.
I think, Cassidy, in the prehistory, it started out with that concept. I know
Okay.
struggled with
Yeah.
that FA days, but okay, well then, rather than take up more time today, why don't I just kind of take that guidance, see if I can't shorten the first 10 pages, but yet put in everything that might be necessary from the hypotheticals that isn't already in the first 10 pages. And see if that doesn't do us enough to move it along to where we can kick it out of here. I'll give some thought to whether I could spin out an arbitrator advisory as well. And if I make any progress on that, I'll come back to it.
Well, don't take on too much. I didn't mean to say that we need to do a separate advisory on it. It's just
I don't know that let's see, if we can come, to where we get it down to just a couple of fuzzy areas. We might not need a whole advisory center either. So, all right.
Okay.
Well, I think I've got what I needed for today, and hopefully I can come back for the next meeting with a pretty vote-ready draft.
Okay, and I'm happy to take a look at it too in the interim, if because I don't have an in-house opinion to deal with anymore. So I'm happy to be a part of the working group on this and review anything you want me to take a look at, Joel.
All right, but if anybody else happened to have read the first 10 pages and wants to tell me anything, just contact it off, send it offline. I'll take
Okay.
it. Okay.
Okay. So is there anything else on the agenda?
That is the full agenda, I believe. At the beginning of the meeting, we did talk about perhaps considering whether which meeting should be the second in-person meeting. That being said, there's not too many people left. If you have a date that you would strongly prefer it be, you can let us know now. But I think what we'll likely do is circulate an email asking for people to kind of vote on a few options.
Erica, can I ask one question about that?
Sure. Yeah.
When we say in-person meeting, does that mean the two conference rooms, LA and San Francisco, or does it mean one or the other?
It means Los Angeles at this point. So the functionality is better in the Los Angeles location to conduct an in-person meeting. Obviously, if you're unable to attend in person, we would still love for you to attend remotely, realizing that travel schedules can be challenging.
Well, actually, after 3 years of COVID, I was hoping you were going to say it was San Francisco.
Yeah, as you can see with Angela in the San Francisco office right now, it's not the best view of people that attend in San Francisco. So the LA functionality is and room space is just slightly better.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so is that it? Am I responsible for adjourning the meeting?
You are, but that is sufficient. There's no vote required.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. This was fun. Good work, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.